Hi, I'm Allison, and I was born with half a face. I know it sounds insane, and I wish I was making this up because my life hasn't been easy. My mom got pregnant with me after trying to have a child for years. My parents underwent several fertility treatments, so you can imagine their joy when the doctor finally gave them the good news. My parents were so happy to learn that they were going to get a baby girl. The problem was that as I began to develop facial features in the womb, the doctors began noticing something was off about me. Each ultrasound they conducted showed some strange features, and at first they figured it must be a problem with the machine. So they kept on repeating the test over and over again with different technicians and different equipment. No matter how many times they repeated the ultrasound, my face looked the same. Half of it wasn't there at all. They didn't know how to tell my mom about it since it was a condition they had never seen before. They conducted several other tests, and when they were sure that it wasn't some kind of odd mistake, they finally sat my parents down and let them know the terrible truth. Their baby girl would be born with only half a face. My mom and dad sat there completely stunned. They couldn't believe anything like that could actually happen. Imagine how worried they were. Could a baby be healthy with only half her face, half her head, and half her brain? They were freaking out, and when I was finally born, Mom was convinced I would slip away all too soon. She was so sad and couldn't stop crying. She told me later on that she wouldn't let go of me, thinking those were the first and final minutes she'd get to spend with me. Surprisingly, not only did I survive, but I was a healthy baby girl. I only had a single eye, half a nose, half of my lips, well, half everything. The doctors told my mom I had to undergo an MRI to check my brain, and they were surprised to see that even though I only had half of it, it worked perfectly well, and all functions were unaffected. Mom was so relieved she couldn't stop crying. She called me her little miracle baby. She didn't care if I looked odd. She loved me with all her heart. Admittedly, Dad struggled a bit with my condition at first, but after a while, he understood that my looks didn't matter. I was a happy, sweet baby, and he adored me with all his heart. So yeah, my parents were pretty awesome. They were super supportive and kind toward me, raising me the best they could. As a child, I didn't notice I was odd looking. After all, I was a kid. I figured there were plenty of people who looked just like I did. Mom and Dad supported me fully, so I always felt loved. Mom and Dad sometimes got worried I wouldn't get to do certain things little girls do, but I proved them wrong every time. I could eat like a normal kid, munching on one side only, and I saw the world around me with no problem, crawling at first and then running around as if I had two eyes. The doctors were incredibly impressed by my development, and I think there were a few medical articles written about me. I don't really mind. If it helps a baby born with my condition have a better life, I'm more than happy to be studied. The problem began when I began growing up. I noticed people stared and pointed at me on the street, and other kids refused to play with me. I didn't understand what was going on. In my mind, I was perfectly normal. Clearly, I wasn't. Mom and Dad tried to get me to go to a normal school. For a few years, I did just that. I was really young and suffered from intense and relentless bullying every single day. I would cry in my mom's arms every night. It was heartbreaking. I couldn't understand why my classmates didn't want to be my friends. Eventually, Mom decided it was too much of a struggle for me to keep going to school. So I was removed from the classrooms and was homeschooled. I graduated with honors, earning nothing but A's. You might think that happened because my mom was the teacher, but she doesn't supervise or grade the state-mandated exams. It took me a long time to accept the way I looked, and even longer to understand that if people stared, I should simply ignore them. It hurt to be mocked and ridiculed, but I'm a strong young woman and refuse to give up on life simply because people are prejudiced. After graduating, I decided to apply for medical school. I wanted to be a doctor to help people suffering from strange diseases and medical conditions. My application explained the struggles I lived through my entire life and how I overcame every single obstacle that got in my way. It seemed to impress the application board because I was admitted at once and even offered a scholarship. I am doing amazingly in college. For the first time in my life, I actually managed to make friends, so I can honestly say that these were the happiest years of my life. The moment I graduate, I'm determined to use my knowledge and experience to help people overcome their conditions and lead happy, fulfilling lives. Thank you for watching. Have you ever been bullied into abandoning an activity you enjoyed? Let us know in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out other videos on the channel.